Hello everyone, welcome back to Yokai Temple. So it's been a bit of a while since I had a video out, and there is a fairly good reason, which is that the recent harsh weather we've been having basically corroded the cable that provides internet to my house, so we had to get an engineer out, two of them, almost free. But now I have internet again, so yay, I can be on the server, and I can record, and I can upload videos again, so hurrah for that. Other than that, not much has changed around here, as you can understand. Besides that. So, it's fairly common in Feudal Japan to have a sort of a wall, a defensive wall of some description or other. Actually, just briefly see it over here. We do have a Nether portal over there. It leads to the Nether highway. I might move that. I'm not entirely certain if that's appropriate for our kind of like build here, but you know. So here we have Yokai's at least initial wall. So this is heavily using carpenter's blocks, and a lot of this is also either the obsidian infused wood that we had over at Yogan, or if I fly over the wall, you can see this a bit better, obsidian. So this is pretty dang impregnable, or by vanilla standards at least. So yeah, I designed this after Edo Castle, so hopefully it looks the part. And it's got two access routes. It does not go all the way around the area just yet, just sort of this intersection. And I'm thinking I'm probably still going to have expansions of the village that come outside of the wall. Like, maybe I'll have some kind of fishing area here, and maybe I'll have a road running to Yogan and to Dave's place over the hill, and that kind of thing. So much room for expansion, so many things that we can get done. But other than that, not much has changed. And I think today we are finally going to make a start on Botania, because I was planning to do that right before I lost my internet connection. And I'm going to put it up here. Our Botania stuff is going to go over here, over at this larger kind of temple compound that's going to be over here, so I need to actually, like, expand the wall, bring that around here. I have lit up, it's easier to see at night, but I have lit up, like, a fairly large area up top here, atop this hill. But so far not much is going on. We just got a few ruined things here. I kind of want to put a temple bell around here. I want to have a nice big brass kind of style temple bell over here, which is the kind of thing that you use for big ceremonies like the New Year's celebrations and stuff, and they ring the giant bell. I do not know off the top of my head what that's called, but anyways. Botania makes use of all of these sparkly mystical flowers that we've been seeing around, as well as the petal apothecary, which I made ages ago, mostly to see if I could. Pretty easy, and you get the white petals just by crafting the flowers, so easy stuff. But you can also make this Lexica Botania, which is any sapling and a book, which seems a bit bizarre to me. I feel like you should use some kind of mystic flower. But anyways, you get this book, and it is really nicely designed by Vazki there, so look at that, just really nice. Very great, very cool interface. I could go through that forever, but I have actually determined the way that we're going to do this. So, first thing we need is a pure daisy. Now, fortunately, the Lexica Botania does have an index, so I can quite easily find these. So, the pure daisy is not only the most basic, but also the most important flower a botanist can have. This flower will purify any adjacent wood and stone blocks, as seen on the next page, into their purified counterparts, living wood and living rock, which can be used for crafting. Bing! Just give it a minute or so, so yeah, I may have to time-lapse a little bit. And then you can use living wood to make the living wood twig, and then you use mystical white petals in the petal apothecary to make the pure daisy. So, what is bright and pure? This book, by the way, is full of a whole ton of references to various things. So, let me see, we are going to need at least 2 of these, I think, to get the 4 petals that we need. And we are also going to require a bucket of water, which thankfully I can quite happily acquire from our farms down here. And the reason, mostly, that I'm looking into Botania at this particular stage is that I kind of need to have a mana generation source. Because to keep flying around like this, I need mana. And I'm presently getting mana from these 2 donated bands of mana that I have. This used to be a mana tablet, but I managed to loot some mana steel and make it. And that goes into the Flugel Tiara, which is still undesigned. No, still no wings. Nothing yet. And that allows me to fly, and that makes things like the time lapses a hell of a lot easier to do. Although, speaking of hell, since we're working on making all manner of flowery life today, I did some looking up on the concept of hell inside of Shinto. Now, Shinto doesn't do burials, it doesn't do having graveyards, it doesn't really do, like, death ceremonies in general, but it does have a concept of an afterlife, and bizarrely enough, a lot of it might seem a bit familiar to you. So, the first thing that I need to know is that it is called Yomi no Kuni, or just Yomi for short. Okay, and now what? How do you use? What's just the 4 things, wasn't it? Yes. Cut in the pellet buffer carry. Shift right clicking will remove the last item thrown in. Not quite helpful. Once it has thrown some seeds. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I need to grab some seeds. I think we have some of those in Soko no Hayashi. So the name Yomi no Kuni translates directly to Yellow Springs. With a bit of interpretation, it can also mean yellow well, but mostly just means Yellow Springs. And it is actually related to the Chinese afterlife realm. I am going to butcher the pronunciation on this, I'm sure, but I think it's Huangquan. Yeah, apologies to anyone who can even remotely speak Chinese, because I am sure I have just desecrated your language, sorry. But yeah, it has a lot of familiar qualities with the Greek afterlife of Hades. So for example, it is believed predominantly to be subterranean, with actual real-world locations being relative inside of the area. So, for example, there is believed to be, like, caves on the surface of the world that you can access Yomi through. There we go. Okay, pure daisy. What color do you want it to be? So I plant this down and I surround it with wood and stone, and we can make ourselves some living wood, which is kind of a pretty important thing. So let me just get rid of these. What did we just pick up there? Sweet corn. Yeah, not a fan. And let me go and grab some logs. I have plenty from the tree farm over there. Katashi is working very nicely. Let me see, what else is known about it? It's not much in the way of torturing, just sort of generic, it's not a great place to be, it's sort of devoid of joy or hope. I don't recall specifically if there's much mention of people, like, decidedly suffering inside of Hades, but certainly the whole place was full of, like, unpleasantness. And please, I don't want to be here-ness. No, apparently I do not have any stone. Well, I can fix that later. A little bit of lag, it seems, on the server at the moment, but that's fine. Right, it is ruled over by a god of death, so Hades gets some company in the form of Yomotsu Okami. The grand deity of Yomi is what that roughly translated. And if you remember the story of... Oh, dang, her name's gone right out of my head. But there was a woman who is swallowed forth into Hades and marries Hades himself. Like, actually, like, falls in love with him and they get into, like, a thing, and then Demeter, her mother, kind of has big problems with this, so they work out a timeshare deal, essentially, so that she'll be on the surface for part of the year and down below for the rest of the part of the year, which creates the seasons in Greek mythology. Well, in that story, it is said that if you eat of the food of Yomi, then you are doomed to be stuck there for all eternity. Much as with Hades, if you eat the food, you're stuck. If you eat, strictly speaking, it's if you eat at the hearth of Yomi. Now, I don't know specifically if that means there's a location called the hearth of Yomi that you have to eat at to be stuck there, but you never know. How are we doing? Okay. Keep an eye on this. Now, beyond that, let me see. Resurrection is not impossible. There are cases where people have been resurrected from being in Yomi. The exact methodology kind of varies depending on the myth you look at, which is fairly common, really. But beyond that, entryways are believed to exist in Izumo province. You can find areas there which are specifically marked as entrances to Yomi. Mythologically speaking, during his flight from Yomi, Izanagi blocked the entry with a giant boulder called Chigaeshi no Okami. And Susanoo later takes over from Izanami no Mikoto as Yomotsu Okami. Since Dev is heavily impure, by the way, Yomi is believed to be wholly polluted. Like, generally speaking, if you're going down there, you're pretty much just... You are a universal cosmic magnet for bad luck. And, oh, we have our living wood. Hooray! Okay, so it's not the best and prettiest of textures, but we can deal. I could have sworn I had... Ah, there we go. Just plain old dumpy iron axe. Why am I getting dark oak wood when I see living wood here? Okay. This is a weird one. And, but, what? What is going on here? Okay, I'm gonna leave that for a little bit longer, just to make sure I know what's going on. This is weird. I may at this point have just, like, flashed over stuff so that I can keep talking whilst this runs, because it's doing strange things now that I don't understand. So, anyways, ways to escape Yomi. If you happen to, for example, die, then you don't particularly want to be in Yomi because it's not a pleasant place. It's really like bad and impure and all sorts of not good things. You can escape Yomi by being enshrined after death. Essentially, this is sort of an apotheosis into a divine spirit. And why is my tree decaying? Bad tree. Bad. I need you to stand on and observe. So this is similar, I guess, in the way that saints are enshrined after death in Christianity. Am I gonna get actual gubbins now, or are you gonna be... Yes, I am. Okay. Good. I'm comfortable with this transaction. That was strange. Now, the best example that I could come up with for this is the 15th Emperor of Japan called Ojin, who was enshrined as Hachiman, god of war, in this fashion. And, okay, so I've got my living wood. Make that into a living wood twig. What was that I saw there as well? Living wood planks also available, so hang on, I use entire logs to make a single twig. Seems a bit of a cheat. Okay, pure daisy, living wood. Wand of the Forest is my next thing. That is basically our utility tool. If you remember from the episode where I fought withers and stuff with Dave, then the... I had, like, no idea whatsoever how to check, like, the mana flow into the mana tablet he gave me, so I had no idea about this. This is what the Wand of the Forest is used for. It is a general multi-use tool for a botanist. So, mystical petals is what I need. And I need 3 twigs. Okay, I only got the 1 from that. So there's 2 and there's 3. And we can get mystical petals from in here. So I've got 1 mystical grey already. And I've got 8 black, so let's grab that. Cute. Okay, so, just plonk that there. Grab that. So that goes there. Doop, doop, doop. And doop. Gets me my Wand of the Forest. And it's a little bit wonky on colour, because this thing does take into mind exactly the colours that you've been using, so I probably could have done with better things. Maybe I can dye this later. And it's presently on function mode. So I can now run over to my Pure Daisy, and it doesn't have a mana functionality, so I get nothing from it, but other things I can actually, like, check out on. So what's next on our list? Whoop. Wonderful. Daybloom. Okay. This is where we are getting into actually dealing with mana. So the Daybloom is not going to be much use to us right now because it's night, and the Daybloom... Hitodama? Okay, we apparently have a Hitodama around. Go in peace, sir. Go in peace, sir. Or ma'am. Or other genders. Or non-genders. Just go in peace. Ideally without setting anything on fire. But, ooh, yeah, that's a nice view. So that is the area I've presently outlined. And don't it look nice? Don't it look nice? Anyways, we need the day bloom. So, whoop. Yeah, other great thing about the Feudal Tiara is I don't take falling damage. So to make the day bloom, let's see, we need, is it going to be in generating flora, day bloom. Most basic and rudimentary generating flowers. Simply put, it performs a modified photosynthesis process in order to transform sunlight into mana. Process is rather slow, about 10 or a dozen of these should get the job done for now. I'm only needing a small one, so I'll just take the one. But let me see, we need orange, 2 yellow, and a light blue to get a single day bloom. So, thankfully, I went on a big hunt to get as many as I could in terms of the mystical flowers. Let's see, it was orange and yellow, and what was the other one? Because my memory is apparently that bad. Light blue, which was a little bit of a pain to find. Okay, and we'll need another bucket, but thankfully I kept my seeds on me. There we go. Doop. And doop. Okay, so I'll go grab a bucket. So, I started to wonder exactly, like, Ojin comes back as a god. So I wonder, like, does everybody who gets enshrined in this kind of saint fashion end up a god, basically? Do they end up like a big, powerful divine spirit? Or do they kind of like peasant souls who maybe only have their own family to, like, enshrine them and believe in them and care for their tombs and stuff, have chances of coming back this way? And I realized that there are spirits just like that one. There are Hitodama, and Hitodama are fiery spirits of the departed, and there's also a lot of humanoid spirits inside of Shinto as well. Japanese mythology is kind of replete with humanoid spirits of one sort or another. Okay, and seeds. Okay, it gets us our day bloom. I'm gonna have to put a water source or something up here at some point, I think, but yay. I can also fill that with lava, turn it into a destroying influence. So yes, the day bloom isn't much, but it'll get us started. So if I stick this here, it doesn't produce any power right now because we are presently in the grip of night. So all of the... oh, and apparently it's raining. Great. Oh well, oh well. So if I come down here and grab some stone... oh yes, before I forget, we did have a skin change, so Akane has had a makeover and she's looking quite nice, quite lovely. Very much like her work companion Ryu. Or Risuto, I should say. So yes, they are doing quite good work over there in Yokai Technical. I don't have any current ideas on what else we can put there, but I'm sure there'll be something. So let me see, I need some stone. Let's grab 8 of it, so that we can surround our pure daisy. There are ways that you can, that you can accelerate the way that this works. There are ways that you can automate it, that kind of thing. But for now, we just have the one pure daisy because we're just getting started. So, what I need this stone to get is to get the living rock. And I need the living rock, as I'm sure you're asking, to get a hold of... let me see, where are you? I need a mana pool. So a mana pool is simply put a storage of mana. This is the thing that I chuck my rings on over at Dave's place to get actual charge onto my bar here. This is the blue line down here. So to make that, I need 5 living rock. And that gets me the diluted mana pool. To get an actual mana pool, I need to toss a diluted mana pool into a charged mana pool with a little bit of power in it to get an actual one. So I actually need about 2 of these. I need more like 10 living rock. So let me just grab a little bit more stone in here. This thing cooks 3 at a time, thankfully. So it's fairly speedy. Pretty handy. Oh, who's running around? Also, I always get slightly unnerved by the zombie heads that are appearing on my main map. You guys can't see them because my face is plastered over it, but there's a few dark zombie heads over by the lava lake, or the lava pool, just in front of Katashi's house, which I'm planning on turning into a spa. Some kind of onsen, maybe. Because, like, I feel like the good, hard-working people of Yokai need somewhere to relax, as well as somewhere to bathe, because conventionally inside of Japanese society, you need a pretty big house before it has its own bathroom. Generally speaking, people go to nearby baths and such public areas. You'd be pretty wealthy to have your own. Bathing is also a different routine than here in England, for example, so the bath itself only comes into play at the end of the washing up. I might talk about that when we're building it, but we'll see. Okay, so now we're just waiting for some living rock. And then I also going to need a mana spreader, just while that's cooking over. I will get this all done before we call it a day. Okay, let me see. Recipe. So we need mystical mana petal, 6 living wood, and I highly doubt that that's 16 gold ingots. I really doubt that. But that does mean I'm going to need a few more logs, because I only have the 2 living wood back, so need 4 more. The pure daisy is getting its work. But hey, it gives me stuff to do. Whoop. Yeah. So yeah, one of the more common spirits that you see in sort of Japanese mythology, alongside things like the Tanuki and the Kitsune and all sorts, is the Hitodama, which are tiny little. They're sort of like will-o'-the-wisps, except that where will-o'-the-wisps are just sort of like spirits that are like gaseous and light, like they're just generic balls of light, pretty much. The Hitodama are actual spirits. Oh, come on, dude! Okay, I'm gonna leave this a bit longer. Apparently it's gonna screw me over a bit. Jump. Might as well. Have a sip of tea. Gear. So yeah, this is apparently a bit buggy. Or it could be the lag. I'm not sure which, but meh. I kind of have to deal with that, I guess. So yeah, the Hitodama are actual fire. I don't know of any recordings on whether they actually, like, have heat, whether they can burn things, but certainly there are more potent spirits than Hitodama that definitely can burn things. There are actual spirits of fire, for example, like Yogan. Yogan, by the way, translates literally as lava, and is made up of the kanji that read fire rock. Pretty neat, I think. I love it when language does that, when people have actual, like, pre-existing terms and they use them to make new words like that. Okay, now I'm getting living rock. Good. Doop, doop, doop. And that as well. Doop, doop. And a bit more stone, please. But I'm gonna have to go and get more because you kind of ballsed me up. Okay. So, 1 diluted mana pool coming up. Here we go. Okay. And we'll put this next to our day bloom. And I think that's water artichoke. Yes, it is. Don't quite need that right now. So, this can't be used for more or less anything. It can be used to store mana, but really not that much. And you can't use it to infuse things. Which is like the big deal part of this whole process. So, a little bit useless. So, our very first introduction to actually, like, imbuing things with mana, and Endo keeps getting stuck there. I don't know why. It's kind of embarrassing for him. I just need to make that whole wall, like, solid so he doesn't keep doing that. Yep. And then we'll be able to toss our mana pool in once it's got a little bit of power in from the mana spreader via the day bloom, which is probably not doing too well in the rain, come to think of it, but I guess we have to deal. Okay, need a gold, and I got plenty of petals to use, so that's fine. Yo, I really wish I had some way to banish the rain for a bit, but meh, we will have to deal. Whoop. There we go. Right. So how are we doing over here? Any gubbins? Probably gubbins, but I slightly don't want to risk it just yet. So I'll start by doing it on the living wood. Nope, it ain't done yet. That's annoying. That's really annoying. Oh well, cope and deal. Right. So yeah, it might be that beggar spirits, for want of a better term, become Hitodama and other similar spirits, and then baleful spirits, people who've died in poor circumstances and therefore somewhat left alone and forgotten, become more malevolent. Things that we see in the Yukiona, things that we see in Juon, things that we see in Ringu, that kind of thing. Those classical betrayed spirits kind of thing. Now, leave that one alone for a bit. I suspect this is done then? Yes it is, okay. So, one more. Can you give me one more, Mr. Daisy? Oh good, that's done. Alright, that gets us at least our mana spreader. So, gold there. Petal there. Living wood. And mana spreader. Okay, so this little thing collects mana from nearby generating floor, like the day bloom, and it will shoot it out in a burst when it has accrued enough. So let me grab this and I can see, firstly, where it's going to go, and how much it's presently storing. Now our day bloom presently has nothing, but I can also shift right click this to get into the bind mode, shift right click that, and shift right click that. So now the mana spreader is getting power from the day bloom and shooting it directly into our diluted mana pool, which is not able to do anything of use right now, so we'll just leave that alone. And, ooh, Mystical Brine Flower. This is probably finished now. Damn. Dang and blast. Okay, well, I guess I'm getting the mana pool next episode. Actually, no, I'm going to, like, speedily go grab another piece of stone, and I'm going to wait for it to convert, and then we're going to finish getting this mana pool so I can show this thing off. Hell. Right, there we go, 1 second diluted mana pool. So, we now have sunlight because it's finally stopped raining. So our mana spreader is gradually building up power, and once it finally gets enough, it will shoot a mana blast over to this diluted mana pool, and then hopefully we'll actually be able to get ourselves some power out of this thing. It's probably worth me making more than one day bloom for this, so this could take a little bit of time. But pretty much this requires so little mana, I believe, that we should be able to work it from just the one blast. So, yay. Oh, finally! Criminy, that took so long. I made a couple more day blooms, so hopefully this has the mana level that we need to get ourselves a proper mana pool. No, it doesn't! Damn! It's telling me it can't at the moment. That is annoying. Doesn't have enough mana. Have to wait for this to fire again. And honestly, this thing does not work very quickly. So yeah, that's the thing I'm going to have to deal with next episode, probably, is putting together a better source of generation for mana. I have a pretty great idea, I think. It's a resource that we're already tapping into quite severely with the village. So we'll have to see how that goes. But, come on. Give me, like, how much more do we need for this? Eesh. Very, 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 very little. I think we probably just need one more shot. At least it's building up faster. Hello, Hitodama. If anyone wants to name the Hitodama, please let me know. Because I have no clue what to call it. But it's nice to know that we've got spirits turning up around now. Nice to know that we're attracting some local fauna, I guess might be the phrase. Some local ethnic culture. I don't know. It's kind of hard to address things that are non-human in every single capacity except origin. Okay, I think once it hits that first little gradient, it'll take a shot, but it's gonna take a while again. Oop. Okay, we can finally do this. Right. So, in it goes, and now I have a regular mana pool, so this can go bye-bye. Because I have very little uses for it. There we go. And I guess now I could also, like, do that again. Where did my diluted go? I don't see it. Did it get... No, I doubt it got picked up there. Did it get destroyed? No. Oh, there it is. Just finally decided to turn up. So yes, now I can get my mana, now I've got my mana pools, this will actually be useful. And next episode we will talk about severely overhauling this source of power, so that we can actually have proper usage. Anyways, catch you next time.